Hi everybody, it's Gail from Gail's Bookish Things. Here we are, day 13, July Journaling Joy. So this is more of a practical suggestion. I think it is super helpful, it is to me anyway, to kind of keep a survey or a running evaluation of inks and pens. So today I went through and I already had these stamped on. So I have my ink, what kind of ink it is in this cute little stamp, the name. Sometimes I include the size bottle, sometimes I include the price I paid for it, but not necessarily. Today I went back then, and with all of the purchased bottled inks that I have, I just wrote an evaluation of my impressions of the ink so far and if I like them or not. So for me that means not only do I like the color or the intensity of the color, but do I like how it works with the pens that I have, or which pens that I have does that ink work with. So that excuse me, that was good for me. Just helps me evaluate and kind of keep a mental record as well as a written record on what works for a pen. So for example, if I want to use my blue TWSBI broad nib pen, I won't put in an ink that I've previously tried that isn't good. At least that's my hope of doing this. And also it just helps me evaluate any future purchases. So to see that I have, for example, the Aurora Purple and let me see if I can fold these so they're kind of close, the Iroshizuku Yamabudo. I mean, they're kind of similar, not exactly, and I know there's a million shades of every color and so forth, but I might think twice before buying another ink that's so similar to that. And because these, in my way of thinking, are similar, I would not buy the Aurora Purple again. That's just personal preference. I liked it when I got the sample. I had like a surprise me pack from Goulet Pens and I loved it. But then when I started writing with it regularly, I didn't like it as well. It might be one that I need to revisit, but general impressions are what I'm going for. The Pilot Iroshizuku Kujaku, which is peacock, has been a wonderful color, so I wrote that here. Love this ink and would rebuy. Love it in my Leonardo, and it works well with my TWSBI and Lamy pens. So that was a great purchase, and that was a good evaluation for me. And so if I'm ever inking up a pen and I'm not sure what to use, if I'm using my bottles and not samples, I can go and say, hey, let's try that one. You haven't done that for a while, and I've reminded myself that that ink and that pen are a good combination. So I have my Noodlers, my Rohrer and Klingner, Alt Goldgrün, Lamy Tourmaline, and again, this one has a fun shading. I can see pink, or maybe it's a sheen rather, in my lighting. Probably doesn't show up, but there's a little bit of pink on the edges, and the Pilot Iroshizuku has some of that too. So they're very similar, really, again, in my way of thinking. It's hard to tell with this little ink stamp. That one's pretty small, but I feel like one of these runs more blue and one a little bit more teal, but they're very similar. So again, I like both of these quite a bit. If I ran out of one, I wouldn't necessarily need to rebuy it. I've already got something similar, and I don't like the redundancy with the inks because, as I've said, it's just how my mind works, but it starts to feel like I have too many things and too many things not being used. So anyway, my suggestion is just do a little ink evaluation. Keep track of the bottled inks you have. If you have bought more than just a few, I think I have about maybe 10 or 11 right now. I'm definitely getting a feel for what I like and why and what I can avoid trying in the future. Diamine Ancient Copper is a big thumbs up. I'm loving that in so many of my pens. Roshizuku Yamabudo, also a great ink for me in my pens. And then the Venta Laguna. I haven't tried it in a lot of my pens, but I love it in my Benu Briolette Luminous Amber pens. Just a good combination. Here with the dip pen, you can see a little bit of shading, but I don't think it generally would be considered a big shading ink. I don't know, but I like it a lot. I like this deep tone down, almost like a ruby, not ruby, but like a garnet red or something. Excuse me again. One of these days I won't be clearing my throat. And then today I just added, I forgot that I had bought a bottle of Jade Noir, and that's been also really, really good ink for me. Never disappointed using that. So again, these notes added to my little, can't think of, like my stock or inventory. That's the word I want. Added this to my ink bottle inventory, and it's a good, super good one. I kind of noticed I have probably about 6 that I really like using. These 3, the Ancient Copper, and my Lamy, and my Pilot Roshizuku, and the Noodler's Green Marine is definitely growing on me. At first I was kind of like, it's a little bit more of like a Christmassy green, crayon box green or something like that. They're not bad, but I wanted kind of a different tone, but I am really liking it now, and it works well with so many of my pens very consistently. And Jade Noir is almost like a black, but it's got the bit of green, so there's a little bit of flair. So summarize, keep a tally, an evaluation of your inks, whatever little notes are useful for you, or if you don't use a lot of fountain pens, it could be your favorite black Sharpie type ink pen that you like to journal with, or ballpoint pen. For a while I really liked the Pilot. I'm getting too mixed up, and I'm wondering if I have one in front of me. There was a gel, like a G10, that was a thick line, and then there's like a ultra file, I don't know, profile, that's what it is. Another just basic ballpoint pen that I was loving until I got into the fountain pen world. So something that's helpful for you to evaluate your favorite kinds of writing utensils. And then let me see, I have my little categories here. Oh yeah, I haven't made a tab for this one. That's why I can't find it. So let me just, okay, here we go. I do need to make a tab for this. Other idea is to do a survey of sorts of your favorite pens. So again, for me, it is fountain pen stuff, but you may prefer other writing instruments. So if it's helpful, do a similar thing. But I will be kind of addressing a fountain pen frame of reference here. So I put Kaweco pens. So I talked about just my general impression of the pens that I have, and kind of just, a stream of consciousness, just a flow of thoughts about the Kawecos that I own. Why I don't like them, like just kind of not real specifically, but maybe it seems dry or it's whatever. Kind of just some opinions and some even thoughts. Like, for example, the Golden Espresso is pretty, but it's more lightweight than the brass, and the texture almost feels slippery to me, like it's a little bit harder to grip. Still a beautiful pen. So just stuff like that. Then I went on to say, okay, how do I ink this pen? I know there's a lot about some of my pens that I don't know. So I did a little bit of mini research and went to a few different websites that talked about these. So here again, I put that Kawecos take cartridges or a converter, or the non-metal ones can be eyedropper filled. mentioned what kind of cartridge or converter it needs. And then I thought it'd be interesting to note what country the pens were made in. And then I put, just as a summary, for my own inventory, ones that I own and good inks for me in that pen. So some of you haven't had any trouble with your Kavekos, and some of you, like me, have had trouble with that nib seeming to write dry after a while. So far I've had good luck with the Ackerman Deepwater Blue in my, let's see, my brass Kaveco. Anyway, I don't want to get off on too much of a tangent, but just to show you the kinds of things I'm writing that might be a useful idea for you as well. Interesting to note, the Kaveco Golden Espresso, I found out had 700 pieces limited. Now, I don't know if that was for that particular vendor or dealer, or if that meant all of them all together everywhere in the world. But I thought, ooh, that's kind of fun. I did a same little bit of a ramble. If I was telling somebody about the different pens, these are kinds of things I might let them know. But my general experience with them, and then again how the pens are filled. Also, I forgot to mention on the other, I tried to include a little information about the nibs. So when I'm talking about a pen or explaining it to another person or trying to see a pattern, I'm like, oh, stainless steel nib, blah, blah, blah. These are made in Taiwan. Different inks that I've liked with my TWSBIs, and just a little listing there of the different colors and nib size. I only have one Leonardo pen, so I probably could have just put Leonardo pens and then mentioned here ones I own. Well, I did, but it's only one pen, so I didn't need to put Momento Zero there. But I doubt that I'll be buying those left and right. That was a little bit more on the high end of pens for me to be spending, even though it was a gift. But, you know, I don't want to accumulate a little bit more expensive ones. I want to have a few maybe that are just top notch. So anyway, I noted that these are numbered but not limited. Just talked about my general love with writing with this pen. Wrote that this one is a Bach nib. They were switching over to Yovo nibs, but the one I have is a Bach nib. Again, ones I own, inks that I've used in this so far, which is only the Iroshizuku Kujaku. I mean, I did do a few others, but the one I've settled on, this works well. Made in Italy. Then I talked about my one Benu Briolette Luminous Amber pen. This is, like I said, inked with the Vinta Laguna. This pen is made in Russia. Then the Lamy Safaris, also made in Germany. Ones I own are the Mango. And thanks to my friend Jen, I also own the Lamy Safari Aquamarine. So that was fun because I wrote about it, and I did this a night or two ago, and I was like, I like them, they're reliable, but I don't always want to pick it up and write with it. And I think one reason is I enjoy the demonstrator type pens. I like seeing that ink, and I like a little bit more of the detail of this maybe. I'm not sure. But, so I put an ink in my pen that I'm trying out from my friend Kim. Let me find it up here because I can't pronounce it. It's up on my shelf right above my head. The CWM Idwal. I have this in, which one? In my Lamy, my Aquamarine Lamy, and it's a real nice combination. I'm loving that. So again, I thought, I don't, do I want the Lamys? Would I rebuy them? I'm not sure, but they're so reliable and have a consistent experience with them, which is super good. It's a pen that I feel like is very functional. That's how they're designed, they say. So actually, when I put that ink in there, I'm like, I really do like this, and I'm not sure why I don't pick it up more often. Other than I like the maybe the visual aesthetics of some different pens, but definitely that was a good evaluation for me to do, to kind of think about that a little bit. I read a comment on a YouTube video. Somebody said that they love the gold nib with the Lamy. So I don't dislike the stainless steel, and I have 2 broad nibs in mine now. But if you've tried the gold, let me know what your thoughts are. Did you tell that much difference? Could you tell? I have a couple miscellaneous pens I wrote about. My Pilot Petite, you know, I've mentioned countless times, a $5-ish pen, but very consistent, inked with Noodler's Heart of Darkness. I have a Charlie pen that came with the Heart of Darkness, and I have a Wankai dip pen that also came with a usable nib. And these are not anything, well, this I write with all the time, but I'm not going to collect those, or I just count it like a miscellaneous pen. The Charlie pen, kind of fun to try, but I don't particularly like it, although I appreciated the offer. That was fun. And then the Wankai dip pen, I liked it and thought, surprisingly, it worked very nicely, but I bought it for the dip pen, so I don't think I'll keep that inked up because I have enough regular ink pens. I don't need to convert my dip pen into an ink pen because I don't need that. And then I have the beautiful Franklin Christoph Model 03 that is the antique glass look, and I got that in the fine sig nib. I'm thinking about buying the broad nib and trying that out. Wrote about what it needs. So number 6 size nib. They're made by Franklin Christoph. They're converter or eyedropper, or it said or cartridge, but I'm not positive about that. I wrote that though. Made in the United States of America. Inks that I've liked with this so far are the Ancient Copper, and I'm just thinking I'd like to try the Lamy Tourmaline ink with that because it's kind of a bluish pen. Like it's like clear vintage looking glass with like that little subtle green, kind of like an old vintage Coke bottle, I think is how I've heard that described. So, and then I have a Sailor pen that the nib is needing just a little bit of work. That was a nice surprise from my husband. I sent him a link and I said, oh, this is a pretty pen, because he said, show me when you see a pretty pen or a pen you think's nice. Don't worry, I won't buy it. I just am interested in what you're interested in. So I showed him that one. Well, what did he do? He bought it for me, and I took it out and wrote with it. I'm like, I just feel scratchy, and I'm like, for the price, I think the writing experience should be equal to, or better, definitely, but equal to a $30 pen. That's my way of looking at it. Please comment below on that, your thoughts on that, please, if you have anything in particular to say. But I'm super excited about getting it back, having it tuned, and enjoying a wonderful writing experience with the Sailor. It's the Nebula, Sailor Professional Gear Slim Nebula. It's that kind of, I think they call it like blue-green. It's got little gold sparkles in it, and it has the gold hardware, and it is a hard broad nib. So even though it's gold, it doesn't have a lot of flex, but it's a little bit smaller. Very beautiful pen. And anyway, I'm kind of rambling, but that's par for the course, I think, sometimes, isn't it? This is my suggestion. This is my idea for, I keep looking at my watch, July 13th, just to keep a ink and pen inventory with your comments to yourself as a tool so you can tweak your selections. For me, it helps to write it down, to really think about it and kind of articulate it in writing, if there's such a thing, so that I can really hone in on what I like and don't like about certain combinations. I want to remark here real quickly that aren't these colors nice together? These are all my samples that I recently bought from Van Ness Pens. This is the Takisumi Cracked Bamboo, not cracked, gosh, I can't read my own writing, Charred Bamboo. I just talked about these. Okay. Is it possible that it's Charred Bamboo and Charred Hickory? I think I have those names wrong. Let me look at my notes. as I get off onto another tangent. Bamboo charcoal, not charred. I was getting them mixed up. So anyway, charcoal bamboo, that's what that word is. But I think I started to write charcoal and was thinking of the charred. Anyway, I'll switch that in a minute. I just think these are so neat together, this hickory and the greenish gold and the blue. I love that combination. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this ink of the week, and I have been talking to some of you in the comments about it. It's a gorgeous ink. When I swatched that, whew, that was amazing. But we will chat more about some of these on Sunday. So that is all for now. I've kept you long enough. Hope you're having a good week. Oh, and our counters are in and our sink. But there's a little leak underneath the sink, so they're coming to repair that. It'll get there. I know it will. But it looks great, and I'm enjoying not squatting down and doing dishes on my deck and actually standing at a kitchen sink. Never thought I'd say that I'm loving standing there doing dishes, but I am. It's fun. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye.
They're here.